death, rebirth, transformation, and renewal. Welcome to Words of Power Podcast. I'm your host, Richard DeLuna, and today we're going to be exploring some of the energy of this season, that is to say, of Scorpio season, the energy of Scorpio. In this time of shifting weather, right? Changes all around us, change in climate, change in temperature, change in season, change in energy. It is a beautiful time to come into that space of reflection and see in which ways renewal can come out of that. And, speaking of changing tides, changing weather, here goes that autumnal weather around us right now. The rain has begun to fall. Thank you. Thank you for that blessing and that timing. And the thunder. Oh, that's so beautiful. I kind of almost hope you get to hear that through this microphone. But that feels so good. Yes, I am just excited to explore with you today these ideas around this energy as we move into the 8th house of astrology, the second encounter with water, what we would refer to as probably the third season in most places, spring followed by summer, followed by autumn. We're in this time and opportunity to see what it means to let go of what is behind us, become what we are now, and embrace how we are now and what we are now, and transition, alchemize ourselves into moving forward. And so to help us with the discussion, I have a book by none other than, you may have guessed it, if you're a long-term fan of mine, you certainly know that I am a big fan of Khalil Gibran. And so today we're going to be reading from this book called Sand and Foam. A bit torn up, I admit. I've had it for a little while, and it was an old book to begin with. But we're going to read a couple of, I guess not quite poems, but very insightful statements, poetically written, to give us insight into life, truly. And by looking into life, we will come to know, understand, and appreciate the energies of death and the way in which they bring about renewal. So, without further ado, feel free to get comfortable, take a deep breath, and share with me as I read this to and with you. One. I am forever walking upon these shores, betwixt the sand and the foam. The high tide will erase my footprints, and the wind will blow away the foam. But the sea and the shore will remain forever. 2. Once I filled my hand with mist, then I opened it, and lo, the mist was a worm. And I closed and opened my hand again, and behold, there was a bird. And again I closed and opened my hand, and in its hollow stood a man with a sad face turned upward. And again I closed my hand, but when I opened it, there was naught but mist. But I heard a song of exceeding sweetness. 3. It was but yesterday I thought myself a fragment quivering without rhythm in the sphere of life. Now I know that I am the sphere, and all life in rhythmic fragments moves within me. 4. They say to me in their awakening, you and the world you live in are but a grain of sand upon the infinite shore of an infinite sea. And in my dream, I say to them, I am the infinite sea, and all worlds are but grains of sand upon my shore. Thanks for letting me read those to you. Thanks for letting me read those with you and share those with you. Um, yeah, let those sit and resonate in whatever way is good for you. And I thank you for uh, listening and allowing yourself to take those in. And if you're having your own thoughts and ideas about those that you'd like to journal or catalog in some way, I invite you to do that here. Um, I really want to make sure that I honor that which springs forth organically from the life within you. Um, and then here in a second, after I've given you a little bit of time, let's reconvene and explore some of these ideas together. Thank you so much, my friends. Yeah, just again talking about this idea of Scorpio season, right? And Scorpio energy, this this eighth house of the astrological wheel, and the second encounter with water. Um, Very beautiful, really wonderful. And I kind of just thought of it right now, but while I don't equate Scorpio energy with the ocean, I think that more Cancerian energy, but we can explore that another time. Um, Still, we're coming into contact with water. We're finding that space where earth meets water, sand and foam, right? These two worlds, which are very much part of one world, coming together. And it's this kind of sacred, almost liminal space. Liminal space effectively meaning the spaces between, like a doorway or even time. One could consider dusk and dawn to be liminal spaces, the kind of a space and a time between night and day. And so here we have the foam, which arises at the meeting place of the ocean and the sand. And in that sand and foam, he comes to these understandings and comes to know himself. And it would seem comes to know all things through knowing himself, which is which is kind of the point of it all, right? Which is kind of where we're all leading. We know through knowing ourselves, we come to know the world. Through coming to know the world, we come to know ourselves. And so I'm very grateful for you in being here with me to share in this. So revisiting that, um, he kind of talks about his own impermanence, but the things which will remain forever, the sea and the shore, which we know in and keep in mind, Halil Gibran is not, um, a thousands of year ago poet of antiquity. He wrote this book in 1920, so only about 100 years ago. So he is well aware that scientifically we know that this world will end. This world has a finite amount of time, and therefore the sand and the shore and the ocean also only have a finite amount of time. But he's not just, I feel, he's not just saying those physical things, but what they represent, right? The sea and the shore. So the sea, according to Joseph Campbell, bodies of water represent within us our unconscious self, or the subconscious self. They represent that which is held within. And that's where these concepts of fear of the water and fear of these large lurking things within the water, not that that's only where they come from, because there are creatures in the water that we are aware of, but these the way that that resonates with us as humans and how much it comes up in our storytelling. For instance, the Leviathan, I believe Jormungand, the world serpent, arises from the water. In Norse mythology, we consistently, Godzilla in the more modern era, we consistently have these ideas of large, terrifying creatures coming up from the water, and that can represent things held within our subconscious of which we are afraid, things held within us, our own selves, of which we are afraid. But it's not just, and that can be true, that is often true, but we can also be in love with the idea of what is under there. Effectively, when we encounter the conscious or the unconscious and subconscious with the conscious, we are going to find something. And we can effectively determine what we're going to find because coming into contact with the subconscious, with the unconscious, we're coming to contact with the deep, with the depths, with the spirit. And as the spirit is infinite, we can come into contact with all things. A friend of mine, Umbria, a really beautiful and wonderful human, one time when we were sitting near some dark water, I told her, it's like, I have a large fear of dark water. She said, why? And I was like, well, I never know what's going to come up out of it. And, it could be something terrifying. And she's like, but couldn't it also be something beautiful? Can't you imagine there being treasure under there? And those are really pivotal moment for me, of just kind of being aware of what it is that I bring to all things truly in the end. But borrowing, I believe it's Nietzsche's quote, where he says, if you stare too long into the abyss too will stare into you. And so this is the idea, I'm going to give an interpretation here, one of my own. This is the idea that when presented with blank space, with space for opportunity, space for expression, we are going to encounter ourselves because we will project ourselves onto that thing. So that thing is looking into us as we are looking into it, right? So we see that which it sees in us, which we see in ourselves, or even maybe refuse to see in ourselves. And that's where Scorpio energy really comes in. Scorpio energy is the looking into the deeps, is the looking into the depth, is looking into the shadow spaces and into the shadow itself. It's the second contact with water. I'll avoid the large astrology conversation for now, although I would really love to dedicate some episodes down the road, seasons, to exploring and explaining astrology. But that second encounter is pivotal, literally. The first encounter through Cancer was the encounter with emotions, but now we've come into a second encounter with it. And beautiful and powerful things come from that, but they require transformation. As water is willing to change its form, as it is tied to the energy, we understand it to be tied to the moon. The moon is always changing its forms, crescent to half to full and back, right? And the tides rising and falling, water precipitating or evaporating. Well, precipitating, yes, gathering, evaporating into continuing the water cycle, giving us the life that we know, coming in and out of us in every breath, even. These things which are willing to change form. And so too must we be willing to change form. For one, we simply have to. It's just the nature of things. The only constant is change. And so we come to the next statement that he shared with us, the next lines, where he said, and to show them to you, my friends, they look like this. So when I was counting 1 and 2, this is kind of what we're looking at here. In the second that I shared, that I just numbered as 2 or titled as 2, he says how he has a hand filled with mist and opens it and it becomes a worm. From there, he closes and opens it and it becomes the bird. And then he closes and opens it yet again and it is the sad man, only to close and open one more time and there is nothing, but there is a song of exceeding sweetness. And it's this reminder or this acknowledgement that we are growing, that wherever we are now, and especially if you find yourself in a moment of sadness, as we can, certainly a completely valid and valuable emotion, a really necessary color on the palette of the human experience to let us know who and what we are and how we are. We encounter these various stages of life, whether you want to see that literally as evolution, animals going up the evolutionary tree, or metaphorically, when we were as the worm or as the mist, formless, not yet conceived, not yet even conceived of as an idea, before our parents and their parents' birth. Then we are something which crawls along the ground, a child. And then we are the bird, that which knows freedom, but maybe is lacking strength. And then we are the man, the human, the fully formed as we know it, but is experiencing sadness. But sadness, I believe it says, a man with a sad face turned upward. So sad, but looking upward. That's an important distinction here. In that moment of sadness, he or they seek someone greater than themselves or something greater than themselves. There's this connection of us in almost every language except for one, but we'll save that for later. This connection with the direction of up, with empowerment and with good. And so we're looking up to that which is good and is above us and maybe can come down to us, right? As we mentioned, rain precipitating. And then there's the hand being closed one more time and opened, and there's nothing, but there's a song of exceeding sweetness. And so through the journey, through the experiences, we have been not only exposed to, but have become these different rhythms, have become these different sounds and chords. And so we, in these moments and in these experiences, learn the sounds of, let's say, bass, of the deep and the low and the rumbling. And we experience the sounds of treble, of the high and the bright and maybe even the uplifting. And we become those. We move in tandem with them. We dance with them. Two quotes that come to mind here for me are, I believe it's Ram Dass or another author, someone known in the more contemporary spiritual spaces of the American West or of American culture, who has a book titled The Only Dance There Is, and kind of drawing on this idea that of all the things we can move in tandem with, in the end, it's truly just moving with ourselves, and in that sense, our greater selves, which is everything. And the other quote that comes to mind is Joseph Campbell in his interview with Bill Moyers in the book The Power of Myth, the book and the recorded interview. The Power of Myth, he is having a conversation with Bill Moyers and is saying something along the lines of mythology giving us an understanding of the song of the universe. And so Bill Moyers asks him something along the lines of, so you're telling me that the song of life, in terms of the song of life, mythology is the key to understanding that song? And Joseph Campbell corrects him and says, no, mythology is the song. And it's just this really beautiful conception, this a really beautiful idea that the journey that we take, our hero's journey, our heroic journeys, with our rises and our falls, our struggles, our losses and our gains, our victories, they're all chords, they're all movements, they're all pieces of the song as it goes. And to pull on yet another modern thinker, I believe it was Eckhart Tolle, who has a speech where he kind of talks about the importance of a song being all of the parts that it is, and that you don't listen to a song just to hear the end of it. If the point of a song were to be quick and just to finish and to be, many sounds, then the best song in the world would just be a giant explosion or cacophony. And that's not what it is. That's not what we're here for. We're here for the slow and the spacious parts. We're here for the quick and rapid parts. We're here for the sombering parts and the uplifting. And all of these movements coming together is what creates what we know as the experience of music, and such is our life. But the thing with vibrations and with notes of music, they end in and of themselves, innately and inherently. They end as we make a sound like this sound. It goes into the world and dissipates. I guess we're recording it here, but otherwise it's going into the world and dissipating. And this is the nature of vibration, is to exist in energy and then to release energy. And that creates the space for the next sound, like these sounds. You don't just have to hear that one I made a minute ago. You get to keep hearing this flow of sounds, just as you're taking in, if you're watching this flow of light, of energy. And so we too exist in the energy that we are, and learn to dissipate and release that, vibrate with it and let it go, and allow ourselves to take in and become the next vibration, and create the next vibration, create the song of our life, make those decisions that drive our lives in the directions we want to take it, that we want to take ourselves and to be ourselves. And again, this is what Scorpio energy is all about, is listening deeply to the song, not shying away from that which is heavy, taking it in, becoming it, allowing it to move through us, and allowing it to change us, right? And then being changed, and knowing that the cycle comes again and again, and then coming into a healthy relationship with it, we get to begin to become the composers of the song. Yeah, I'll leave it there. We get to become the composers of the song, and we get to decide how it plays, but we don't get to become that until we gain this appreciation for music in this way that it is appearing and disappearing, coming and going, that we feel and we let go, we attach and we release. And there's a beauty there. I don't want to say there has to be, but this is what life is. This is the flow of life. And so there has to be. There has to be, because life is beautiful. Life is a gift. And this is a gift, being able to share with you. So I'm grateful for you and letting me share with you. There was no script for today. I just wanted to be in front of the camera and absorb this new experience with you. So I hope that this exploration has felt good, and I would like to pick up on it later, certainly. But let's go ahead and wind this down and acknowledge, the experiences and the thoughts and feelings that we've had in sharing this. Certainly, I'm going to sit with the ones I felt in creating this for and with you. And we'll see what this organically grows into this next time across Scorpio season. I would like to thank you so much for being here with Words of Power podcast. Please feel free to, I would love it if you would follow us on Instagram. I believe here, I'll post it. And connect with us, become part of this family, this brand new and growing family, and help to create this place of empowerment and receive some of the empowerment. And if you found this to be helpful or of benefit to you, please feel free to share it with somebody else you feel may be empowered by this thing. And I hope that what was shared here today plant seeds in your life and in my own, and we get to see what that grows into, and be like the seed that sheds off its last form, the flower, and then becomes the seed and goes into the earth, right? And is okay with experiencing that darkness because it knows, as Khalil says, spring is in the very heart of winter. And then bloom forth from the earth and grow and become that next thing that we are meant to be. And we're meant to be all of those phases. We are meant to be all of those phases because whatever we are meant to be, which is this right now and also that, we have to be this right now in order to be that. And this right now is this right here and now. So thank you for being here and now with me. Thank you for being you. May you be blessed in all of your days and all of your ways. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place. I love and appreciate you. And I wish you all the best, my friend. May you bloom forever. And may you be empowered.